Victor was seriously ill the year he got dumped by his first love. In a fit of anger, he got engaged to me, but no matter how hard I tried, he could never forget his first love, until many years later. They met again at a class reunion. She cried a little, and his heart softened. In front of everyone, they kissed passionately and turned me into a joke. I only asked him for an explanation, and he got impatient. Selena, it's not like you only found out today that I love her. If you can't take it, then break up with me. I took off my engagement ring and said, then let's break up. But that was when he panicked. Chapter 1. At the class reunion, everyone was raising glasses and drinking, and the atmosphere was lively. Victor's buddies took the lead in stirring things up and insisted that we drink a cross-cup toast. But just as Victor and I linked arms and were about to drink the wine in our glasses, the private room door was pushed open. The person who came in was Victor's first love, Lily. Chapter 2. After greeting everyone, Lily lifted her eyes and looked at Victor, who was sitting opposite her. Victor, I'm back. After everyone froze for a few seconds, they all, without exception, turned their eyes toward me, and the atmosphere instantly became subtle. One of Victor's buddies sneered. Back when Victor was seriously ill, you broke up the moment you felt like it and didn't care whether he lived or died. What are you back for now? As if those words had pierced her, the corners of Lily's eyes instantly turned red. She walked over to Victor and called softly, Victor, are you still angry with me? Victor tightened his grip on the wine glass in his hand, his knuckles turning white. He suddenly reached out and pulled me into his arms, then said to Lily, my wife is still sitting right here. Miss Lily, don't say things like that carelessly. Lily looked at the hand Victor had resting on my shoulder, and tears immediately streamed down her face. She looked heartbreakingly pitiful. She pulled out the silver chain from around her neck, with a jade Buddha pendant hanging from it. The moment Victor saw that jade Buddha, his pupils suddenly contracted. I recognized it too. It was Victor's mother's keepsake. He had worn it close to his body since childhood and had never even wanted to take it off while showering. I had wondered before why he stopped wearing it after he recovered from his illness. So he had given it to Lily. Lily removed the necklace and cried as she said, I'm sorry about our breakup 3 years ago, but at the time, I had no choice. I had to pursue my dream. But do you still remember what you said when you gave me this jade Buddha? You said that no matter how bad things got between us, as long as I took out the jade Buddha, you would come back to my side. Hope rose in her eyes, and in a trembling voice, she said, Victor, I'm willing to give up everything and come back to you now. What about you? Are you still willing to marry me? Victor stared fixedly at the jade Buddha in Lily's hand, and the hand resting on my shoulder tightened ruthlessly. I frowned in pain, seeing that Victor still said nothing. Lily looked as though her heart had shattered. She bit her trembling lip hard. I know your answer now. I'll never come back to bother you again. Lily placed the jade Buddha on the table in front of Victor, turned around, and ran out crying. The private room door slammed shut, as if cutting off the air from outside, and the whole room became unbearably suffocating. But the very next second, Victor grabbed the jade Buddha from the table and suddenly stood up. Anxiety rose in my chest, and I grabbed his hand. Victor? He clenched the jade Buddha tightly in his palm and, after seeming to make a huge decision, pried my fingers off one by one. Selena, I'm afraid something might happen to her. Chapter 3. Victor chased after Lily without looking back, unable to resist. The others followed to watch too. I was dragged along by one of Victor's buddies. He said urgently, Selena, why aren't you hurrying to get him back? Lily is like Victor's inner demon. He has no control over himself when it comes to her. He pulled me all the way to the hotel lobby, and there, right at the entrance of the hotel, I saw Victor pull Lily into his arms in one swift motion. Lily cried in his arms like a flower in the rain. Victor, I knew it. You can't let me go. I watched with my own eyes as Lily wrapped both arms around Victor's neck, rose on tiptoe, and took the initiative to kiss him. And he did not reject her. He even instinctively wrapped his arms around her waist and kissed her back with fierce passion. In the hotel lobby, the other strangers watching all took out their phones to take pictures and record videos. 2 young girls were discussing it excitedly. Look, isn't that world champion Lily? Wow, her boyfriend is so handsome. Aw, this is so sweet. What kind of idle drama plot is this? None of them knew that I was Victor's fiancé. I stood there like a joke, being watched by those gossiping classmates. One of Victor's buddies couldn't bear to watch anymore and was about to go pull them apart. But I grabbed him. I looked at the two people kissing as if they couldn't bear to part, and my vision slowly blurred. Even if you drag him back, if his heart is gone, what's the point? I had liked Victor for a full 10 years, and I had once stayed by his side without leaving, even when he was so gravely ill that he was close to dying. But at that moment, I suddenly let it go. Chapter 4. Victor did not come home all night. I sat on the sofa in his living room and waited the entire night. It was not until noon the next day that he finally came back, and he had changed into a new set of clothes. When he saw me, he paused for a moment. Then, as if nothing had happened, he smiled and asked, "When did you get here? Why didn't you tell me beforehand?" He walked past me with complete composure, went to the fridge, took out a bottle of chilled soda water, twisted off the cap, and drank several large gulps, touching the engagement ring on my middle finger. I asked him, "Did you sleep with Lily last night?" Victor tightened his grip on the plastic bottle in his hand and turned to look at me. "Selena, if you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush." I looked at the kiss marks on his neck and gave a bitter smile. There's actually nothing left to say. I took off the engagement ring on my finger. I still remember the night I put it on. I had been so excited that I could barely contain myself. Leaning forward, I placed the ring on the coffee table. Victor strode over quickly, as if completely unaware of my pain, and pointed at the ring as he asked me, "What is this supposed to mean? Just because I was with Lily last night, now you're deliberately here to pick a fight with me today. Is that it?" "Selena, it's not as if you only found out today that I love her. You were able to ignore it back then and insisted on getting engaged to me. So why can't you endure it now?" I looked at Victor. "Your past with her is in the past, and I can accept that. But now, your betrayal is cheating, and I can't accept that." A mocking smile appeared on his face. "Fine, if you can't take it, then break up. Selena, don't expect me to coax you. I don't have that kind of patience. Every time we had argued before, I was always the one who took the initiative to make peace." So he had gotten used to saying the word break up, as if he were certain I would never truly leave him. Just as we were locked in that standoff, Lily called. Victor's hand shook and he accidentally hit the speakerphone. On the other end, Lily said in a tearful, trembling voice, "Victor, I think a man is following me. I'm really scared." Victor became tense immediately. "Where are you? Send me your location. I'm coming right now." He paid no attention to me. Even as he was speaking, he had already turned and left. With a bang, the front door slammed shut. Once again, Victor had abandoned me for Lily. But what he still didn't know was that this time, I would never look back again. Chapter 5. That night, I got drunk alone in a bar, supporting myself against the wall in the bathroom. I vomited until the world spun. When I was harassed by a strange man in the hallway, Eric suddenly appeared. His tall body stood in front of me and told the man to get lost. The man could only leave in frustration. Eric turned around and steadied me as I swayed on the verge of collapsing. "Is ruining yourself like this really worth it for a Victor?" I leaned against the wall and looked up at Eric. His jawline was sharp, his nose straight and prominent, and he was looking down at me too. I was a little surprised. "Weren't you over in Hong Kong? Why did you suddenly come back to the mainland?" Eric's gaze was calm yet pressing. I saw the trending topic. Last night, someone had uploaded photos of Victor and Lily kissing to the internet, and they had even made it to the trending charts. Now the whole internet was shipping them as a couple, as if I were the third party who had come between them. I felt a little embarrassed, so now I've made a fool of myself all the way to Hong Kong. When I lowered my head, Eric reached out in time to support it, looking at the tips of our shoes, nearly touching on the floor. I said softly, "Eric, I regret it. Back then, I should have listened to you." Eric and Victor were my high school classmates. Back then, Eric had not agreed with me being with Victor, but I hadn't listened, and now I was reaping what I had sown. After a few seconds of silence, Eric suddenly pressed my head against his chest. Through the fabric of his suit, I could hear how fast his heart was beating. His steady voice sounded above my head. It's still not too late, Selena. I came back to the mainland just for you. Chapter 6. Eric transferred into our class in the second year of high school. Before he came, Victor was the favored son of heaven, and everyone doted on him. But after Eric arrived, everything changed. Even though Victor's family had money, compared with Eric, it was still nothing more than a firefly before the moon. Besides, Eric was also a top student, ranked first in the grade in every subject. Someone as arrogant as Victor simply could not stand Eric being better than him in every way. So the two of them were sworn enemies back then. It wasn't until the sound of running water in the hotel bathroom stopped that my thoughts gradually pulled back from those memories. Because of one sentence from Eric, "Do you want to get back at him?" I came to the hotel with him. Now, he had already finished showering and was about to come out. I was almost sober, and I was beginning to regret it. But just as I grabbed my bag and was about to quietly slip away, Eric came out with only a bath towel wrapped around his waist. I crashed right into him. The heat from his body rushed over me, making my face flush. "Where are you going?" he asked. At the same time, he stepped toward me with an oppressive presence, cornering me against the wall little by little. My breathing tightened in waves, and I instinctively avoided his direct gaze, saying in a low voice, "I just suddenly feel that what we're doing like this isn't very appropriate." Eric's Adam's apple bobbed. "Neither of us is married. What's inappropriate about it?" He suddenly bent down and leaned close, his warm breath falling against my face. "Selena, I know very clearly what I'm doing. I waited for you for a full 6 years. I don't want to miss my chance again." That scene gave me a dazed illusion. It was like going back to the year we graduated from high school, when Eric had also cornered me like this against the wall of an empty classroom. "Selena, I like you. Be my girlfriend." At that moment, the strong hormones radiating from him seemed to invade every inch of my nerves, making me feel as if I were walking on clouds. I unconsciously held my breath, and even my heart stirred with it. Just as his kiss was about to fall, my phone suddenly rang. After freezing for 2 seconds, I pushed Eric away slightly, lowered my head, and frantically searched through my bag for my phone. The screen showed Victor calling. I wanted to hang up, but Eric snatched the phone away in one motion and made a gesture for me to keep quiet. He pressed accept. Victor shouted through the phone, "Selena, what do you mean by leaving your engagement ring here? I haven't even agreed to break up with you yet. I'm giving you 1 hour to get your ass back here immediately." With a teasing smile curling at the corner of his lips, Eric held the phone to his ear and looked at me as he said, "1 hour probably won't be enough. We still haven't had our fill. If you're in a hurry to see her, then come to Victor Island Hotel, room 1903, and while you're at it, bring me a box of ribbed ones, large size. Thanks." Chapter 7. Victor came very quickly. Eric opened the door for him. The moment Victor saw Eric in a bathrobe, with his hair still wet, he threw a punch. Eric didn't indulge Victor either. He grabbed him by the collar and swung his fist hard into the left side of his face. Blood immediately seeped from the corner of Victor's mouth. The two of them started fighting. I rushed forward to pull them apart, stood in front of Eric, and shouted at Victor, "Have you lost your mind?" Victor's hands, hanging at his sides, clenched viciously as he stared at me in disbelief. "Selena, you're protecting him?" His finger trembled with rage as he pointed at Eric and gritted out, "You're my fiancé, and you're protecting another man." I emphasized, "Victor, we're over." Victor glared at me unwillingly. "Selena, who was it back then that clung to me and insisted on marrying me? And now you think you can just say it's over and that's the end of it? I'm telling you, no way. What you say doesn't count." After saying that, he came up and grabbed my arm, forcibly dragging me toward the door. Almost at the same time, Eric grabbed my other wrist. His voice turned cold too. "Selena, as long as you don't want to go, no one is taking you away tonight." I looked at Victor, who was gritting his teeth in fury. Then I looked at Eric, whose expression remained calm and steady. In the end, I pulled both of my arms free from their hands at the same time. Then I turned to Victor and said, "Leave, and don't ever come looking for me again." Victor looked at me with icy eyes. "Selena, I was giving you face, and you don't want it. Is that it? Fine. You said this yourself. So don't regret it. Then he shot Eric, standing behind me, a look full of venom, as if to say, just you wait. And finally, he slammed the door and left. Inside the room, there was a deathly silence. My phone rang again. It was my mother. In a very stern tone, she ordered me, come home immediately. Chapter 8. Eric drove me home. The moment I walked in, I saw my mother sitting on the sofa in the living room reading. When she saw me, she closed the book face down on the coffee table, then took off her glasses and placed them on top of it. She opened Weibo on her phone, pulled up the photo of Victor and Lily kissing, and handed it to me. Tell me, what exactly is going on? I confessed. The girl in the photo is Victor's first love. They got back together. So, Mom, Victor and I broke up. My mother's face instantly turned cold. But the news of your engagement already spread throughout our circle. Selena, are you deliberately trying to make our family lose all face? I apologized softly. I'm sorry, Mom. She was concise and direct. I don't care what happened between the two of you, but half a month from now it will be your grandfather's 80th birthday banquet. I've invited many guests. You must make Victor attend with you, so the trending topic will collapse on its own. But Mom, there is no but. My mother cut me off. After all these years, I spared no expense raising you. You should know where your value lies. Of course I knew. She had brought me back from the orphanage and raised me as a tool for marriage alliances. As the adopted daughter of the family, I never had any right to speak. The only exception was in marrying Victor. That was something I insisted on. My mother saw that Victor's family background was fairly good, so she allowed it. But now, my mother stood up from the sofa. Selena, for families like ours, face is what matters most. So compared to the family's reputation, your dignity is worth nothing at all. As she walked upstairs, she paused when she passed by me and added, even if you marry Victor and then divorce him, you still cannot let outsiders laugh at our family and say that the daughter of my house was dumped. Chapter 9. Grandpa's birthday banquet was held in the hotel ballroom. The huge floor-to-ceiling windows filled the entire ballroom with natural light, which complemented the brilliant indoor lighting and created a warm yet luxurious atmosphere. I accompanied my mother as she entertained guests. Someone flattered her, saying, I heard David won first place in an international speech competition abroad. At such a young age, his future must be extraordinary. David was the biological son of the family, 10 years younger than me. He had been sent abroad since childhood to receive what they called the best education. By the time he was 5 or 6, he could already recite fluently in English. Hearing someone praise David, my mother smiled so broadly that she could hardly close her mouth. Then someone else asked me, so when is Selena's wedding going to be? The smile on my mother's face stiffened for a moment. We're still discussing it. That person seemed to be doing it on purpose, bringing up exactly what shouldn't be brought up. That's what I thought. Victor and your family have been engaged for ages, so the photos on the trending page must be fake. My mother looked rather embarrassed and turned back to ask me, when is Victor arriving? But before I could answer, someone pointed toward the entrance. Victor is here, and he brought a date. It was Lily. Victor had brought her. In an instant, everyone's eyes turned toward me all at once. My mother, still forcing a smile, had in reality already ground her back teeth together. She shot me a sharp glare. Victor's gaze swept through the crowd and landed directly on me. The corner of his lips curved up with a trace of provocation. He was clearly doing this on purpose to humiliate me, taking revenge for how I had thrown him out of the hotel that night. Chapter 10. When I came out of the restroom, I ran into Lily in the hallway. Her arms were crossed over her chest, and she smiled arrogantly. Selena, are you surprised to see me here tonight? I knew she had nothing good to say, and I couldn't be bothered to get entangled with her, but she deliberately blocked my path. Selena, you're just an adopted daughter. What exactly are you so proud of? It felt as if someone had suddenly stabbed me in a sore spot. I looked up sharply at her. Victor told you? The fact that I was adopted was something only Victor knew. Lily admitted it openly. That's right. He also said that you were just something to comfort him during the lonely years. Now that I'm back, you're worthless. She laughed pleasantly and mocked me. Besides, you're only an adopted daughter. While I'm a world-famous champion, the difference in our status and class couldn't be more obvious. What do you even have to compare with me? The air around us seemed to grow thin, making it hard to breathe. Lily and I held each other's gaze, neither willing to back down, until a ringtone sounded from around the corner of the hallway, then stopped abruptly. A girl stepped out looking guilty, awkward and flustered, and hurried past us. Very soon, the fact that I was an adopted daughter spread throughout the banquet. In the eyes of those rich heirs who had been born with silver spoons in their mouths, I was no different from a maid or servant living in someone else's house. So no matter where I went, people looked at me with strange expressions. Chapter 11. I kept my head down and pretended not to see those cold looks, walking quickly to the table and taking up a glass of red wine with trembling hands, then draining it in one go. Then my phone vibrated. It was a text message from Victor. Selena, I told you you'd regret this. I'd like to see whether Eric still wants you after finding out you're an adopted daughter. I clenched my phone tightly and quickly searched the crowd for Victor. There he was, leaning against a table, smiling as he raised the wine glass in his hand toward me and mouthed, "Cheers." I clenched my fists and started toward him. In my urgency, I failed to notice that a waiter was walking this way carrying a tray behind me, and I crashed right into him. The champagne on the tray spilled all over my gown, soaking a large patch across my chest and nearly exposing me. I immediately crossed both hands over my chest to cover it. The waiter got up from the floor and apologized to me over and over again. More and more people gathered to watch. They all pointed at me and whispered among themselves. Every gaze looked as though they were watching a joke. That scene overlapped with memories of being bullied in my mind. When I was little, because I was small and chronically malnourished, I was often cornered and bullied in little alleys by the older children at the orphanage. When it rained, they would force my face into puddles and make me drink dirty water. They also filled my shoes with stones and forced me to walk in them. So when the waiter came forward and tried to help me up, I recoiled from his hand like a startled bird, so frightened that I kept stumbling backward. And then, in the middle of that panicked turn, I slammed straight into Eric's chest. Ignoring my struggle, he pulled me tightly into his arms, one warm hand cradling the back of my head as he said with heartache, "I'm sorry, I came too late." Chapter 12. The moment Eric appeared, everyone present froze. They began whispering among themselves. "Isn't that Nestor's eldest grandson? Why would he be here?" "Nestor? You mean the Nestor who's considered a legend in Hong Kong's business world?" "Exactly. That eldest grandson is the heir personally chosen by Nestor." "What? Then what's his relationship with this adopted daughter?" Under everyone's gaze, Eric took off his suit jacket and covered my chest with it. Then he bent down and lifted me straight into his arms. "I'm taking you away." I looked at him gratefully, tears slipping from the corners of my eyes. Eric carried me all the way, and just as we were about to reach the door, Victor suddenly rushed over. He blocked the doorway and said to Eric, "Put her down." Eric's gaze sharpened. "What if I don't?" Victor threatened. "Then don't even think about walking out that door." The two of them remained locked in confrontation, and the atmosphere grew more and more tense, like a storm about to break, so suffocating that it was hard to breathe. Eric gave a light laugh, but his voice was cold. "Stop me? You?" He clearly didn't take Victor's threat seriously and kept walking forward. With each step Eric took, Victor's hands clenched tighter and tighter, and everyone around seemed to stop breathing with him. "Selena." My mother's voice suddenly came from behind the crowd. She pushed through the people and hurried over to stand in front of Eric and me. As a younger man, Eric politely inclined his head to her like a gentleman. The moment their eyes met, my mother understood immediately, and she smiled as she said, "Selena has been in poor health since childhood. When you take her out, don't let the wind catch her. No matter what others say, Selena will always be my family's daughter. You must treat her well." Eric gave a low ahem, an elegant smile curving at his lips. In the end, it was my mother who pulled Victor away. Eric carried me off openly and without the slightest concealment. As he passed Victor's side, he even deliberately glanced back and threw him a look of pure disdain. Chapter 13. Eric didn't have a fixed residence on the mainland. Most of the time, he stayed in his family's hotel suites. He took me back there and personally ran me a bath, telling me not to think about anything and just soak properly. He also ordered someone to buy new clothes in my size and deliver them. By the time I came out after washing up, Eric was already nowhere to be seen in the room. He had left a note on the coffee table. "I've gone to take care of something. I'll be back later. Get some proper sleep. Here. No one will come bother you." I knew he was trying to leave me some space to be alone. I hadn't intended to sleep at first. I had wanted to sit on the sofa and wait for him to come back. But somehow, leaning against the cushion, I drifted off without realizing it. When I woke up, it was already pitch black outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, with only a few scattered stars hanging in the night sky. As I sat up, the blanket on my body slipped off and fell to the floor. I stared at the blanket on the ground and sat there blankly for a few seconds. Then Eric's voice came from behind me. "You're awake." I jumped in surprise and quickly turned around, only to see Eric sitting at the desk, the computer screen in front of him still lit. I picked up the blanket from the floor and asked him, "When did you get back?" Eric glanced at the wall clock. "About 2 hours ago. You were sleeping so soundly that I didn't have the heart to wake you." I sat there in a daze for a while before finally speaking. "Thank you for what happened today, but it's getting late. I should go back." As I spoke, I had already folded the blanket neatly and placed it properly on the cushion. Seeing that I was about to leave, Eric also hurriedly stood up from the desk and called out to stop me. "Selena, do me a favor, all right?" Chapter 14. Eric said that his grandfather did not have much time left, and his only wish before dying was to see him legally married. He hoped I could help him with that. He said to me very seriously, "I know this sounds absurd, but right now, you also need someone to help you get rid of Victor's entanglement. Don't you? Selena, give me 1 year, just 1 year. I'll sign an agreement with you. If, when the 1-year term is up, you still can't fall in love with me, I'll cooperate with you in handling the divorce, and I'll also give you an extra 100 million as compensation. By then, you can take that money, break free from your adoptive parents' control, and go do what you want to do." I didn't want to agree, but he was offering too much. It was hard not to be tempted. Besides, I really did need him to help me get rid of Victor. Otherwise, it would also be hard for me to answer to my mother. The day Eric and I signed the agreement, we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and got our marriage certificate. Because of work, I couldn't get away. So Eric took the marriage certificate and flew back to Hong Kong first to report back. We agreed that once I got through this busy period, I would go back with him to see his grandfather. Chapter 15. From my internship until now, I had been at the television station for almost 3 years, yet I had never been truly valued. Because of my family background, the management treated me fairly well, but good opportunities never seemed to come to me. They only treated me like a pretty face. Tonight's feature program was something I had fought for a long time to get, spent a long time preparing, and poured a lot of thought into before finally completing it. I waited for it to air with a heart full of expectation, but the department director suddenly informed me that the program had been cancelled. He said that Lily's schedule had changed tonight, and she suddenly had time, so she had agreed to come to the station for an exclusive interview, and had specifically named me as the host. He ordered me to put down all my current work and devote myself entirely to cooperating with Lily and handling tonight's live broadcast. Chapter 16. An hour before the live show began, Lily and I met in the dressing room. In a strictly professional tone, I asked, "Miss Lily, is this a good time to go over the script?" She looked at me through the makeup mirror and smiled faintly. "Sure." After sending away the makeup artist and the other staff members, only the two of us were left in the dressing room. Leaning back on the sofa, she said, "I thought you would refuse to interview me." I kept making notes carefully on the script without even raising my head. "You're one of the hottest public figures right now. Why would I refuse such a good opportunity to stand out?" That was the truth. Normally, when it came to interviews with someone so in demand, all the station's anchors would be scrambling over each other for the chance. It would never have fallen to me. So even if this opportunity came from someone I detested, I still had to seize it. After making the final mark on the script, I put down my pen and asked her, "We've gone over the script almost completely. Is there anything else you want to add?" But Lily answered something else entirely. "Selena, I prepared a surprise for you tonight. You should look forward to it." Chapter 17. It wasn't until the third segment of the live broadcast that I finally realized Lily's so-called surprise referred to Victor. At this moment, the number of viewers watching the live stream had already surpassed 4 million. Following the script, I asked, "A lot of viewers want to know whether you are currently single." Lily looked sweetly into the camera and said, "No." She openly admitted her relationship with Victor, recounted the sweetness of their past romance, and firmly reaffirmed that she loved him. The live comments instantly exploded. "Wow, Champion Sis is so cool. I support you too. This is way too romantic." First love reunites after years apart and discovers they still deeply love each other. What kind of idol drama is this? Move the Civil Affairs Bureau over here right now. Get married on the spot for me. At the height of the excitement, Lily spoke again. "Actually, he's here tonight too." The entire venue instantly erupted. People in the audience started wildly looking around, until Lily's gaze landed on a seat in the back row, and the corner of her lips lifted. "Victor, would you be willing to come on stage and stand by my side?" I followed her gaze and saw Victor rise from his seat. His eyes met mine for a brief few seconds. One brow lifted at an angle, carrying the mocking look of someone punishing me. No one knew Victor was there. At this moment, aside from me, everyone else on site also wore shocked expressions. Some people at the station knew that Victor and I had been together. Watching the spectacle on the trending page was one thing, but standing here and seeing the three of us in the same place was something else entirely. Amid the enthusiastic applause of the full audience, Victor came on stage openly and embraced Lily tightly. Because of that single embrace, the livestream viewer count surged to 6 million, breaking the station's ratings record of nearly 10 years. The comments flooded in wildly, "Kiss, kiss." The director, afraid I would act impulsively, immediately reminded me through my earpiece, "Selena, I don't care what kind of relationship the three of you have, but right now, you must finish hosting this program professionally and rationally for me. Otherwise it will count as an on-air incident, and the station will pursue responsibility from you afterward." The co-workers below the stage were also all staring at me with subtle expressions. There was also the smugness on Lily's face, and the sense of revenge-filled pleasure in Victor's eyes. It was as if every single one of them had already decided I would lose control. But instead, I silently put down the script in my hand and, just like the audience on site, smiled and clapped as I said, "Kiss, kiss." Victor's expression darkened immediately. Chapter 18. This live broadcast was a great success. People at the station all gave me a thumbs up and praised me for being professional. The director, who was usually stern and unsmiling, personally opened a bottle of champagne to celebrate for me. "Selena, I told you that you're our lucky star." The ratings for tonight's live broadcast broke our station's record for nearly the past 10 years. "Just wait for your promotion and raise." I smiled as I took the champagne the director handed me and said modestly, "It's all thanks to the director's careful guidance over these years. Let me toast you first with this glass." The director loved being flattered the most, and it made him pleased and carried away. But I knew that those colleagues who gave me a thumbs up on the surface were laughing behind my back about how I had been cuckolded. And the director, who had nothing but praise for me, was also just a smiling tiger. But it didn't matter. What mattered was that I had seized the opportunity. After tonight, I was no longer an unknown little anchor. For that, I had Lily to thank. Chapter 19. Hong Kong. The secretary knocked and walked into the study, respectfully saying, "Boss, the private jet has already been arranged and can depart at any time." Eric said nothing. He kept staring at the live broadcast on the television screen. He had no idea how many times he had replayed the part where Selena clapped along with the audience and shouted, "Kiss, kiss," trying to find the answer in every one of her expressions and movements. The fact that she could face Lily and Victor so calmly. Did that mean Victor was not actually that important in her heart? At first, when he had just seen the live broadcast, he had worried that Selena would be bullied by Lily and had planned to fly back to stand up for her. But now it seemed he had worried for nothing. Eric pressed his lips together and smiled soundlessly, casually pulled a cigarette from the pack, and instructed, "Cancel the trip." "Yes, sir." Chapter 20. After finishing work, it was already past 9 at night when I came out of the television station building. Victor came out of nowhere, suddenly rushed in front of me, grabbed me, and tried to drag me away. It took me a lot of effort to shake him off. "What are you doing?" Victor somewhat lost control and snapped at me. "Selena, Have you had enough yet? I've been giving you a way out this whole time. Do you even understand that? I rubbed the wrist he had hurt by grabbing it. Victor, even now, you still think I'm just throwing a tantrum at you? Victor irritably ran both hands through his hair. If not, then what? You love me that much. You simply can't leave me. Yes, I admit it. I do have feelings for Lily, and when I'm facing her, I can't control myself, but I never once thought about marrying her. He gripped my shoulders with both hands, as if making some heartfelt confession, and said, Selena, after all these years of being together day and night with you, I've already fallen for you, even if you're an adopted daughter. I don't care, and I never once thought about canceling our engagement. Do you understand? The reason I appeared on that program tonight was also to make you angry. Who told you to keep getting tangled up with that Eric? It made me mad. Now we're even, and I forgive you too. Let's make up, okay? He even tried to step forward and hug me, but I shoved him away in disgust. I directly took out my marriage certificate from my bag and slapped it against his face. Victor, I'm married to Eric. Victor looked at the marriage certificate in my hand, and his face instantly turned pale. His eyes widened as big as bronze bells, as if they were about to pop out of their sockets. He said, I don't believe it. I looked at him speechlessly. The marriage certificate is right here. Eric and I registered it. We are lawful husband and wife. You can go check. Or better yet, I can prove it to you right now. Right in front of Victor. I called Eric. The call was answered very quickly. Eric's pleasant voice came through, carrying warmth. Finished with work? I gave a soft and turned on speakerphone, staring at Victor's gloomy face. I said softly to the person on the other end of the line, Honey, I miss you. The air fell into complete silence. Victor's clenched fist crackled at the knuckles, and on the other end of the phone, Eric took an almost inaudible deep breath, his Adam's apple bobbing again and again. Just as Victor was about to snatch my phone away like a madman, the silent Eric suddenly spoke. I miss you too. After I hung up, the car I had called happened to arrive. I walked past Victor. This time, he did not stop me. I got into the car. The car slowly started and gradually drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw Victor standing there alone in the night, his body stiff as a stone, unmoving for a long, long time. Chapter 21. At night, the traffic on the streets looked like a flowing ribbon of light. The buildings on both sides of the road appeared tall and majestic under the glow of the neon lights. The red light ahead turned on, and pedestrians began to cross, watching groups of students walking home together on the crosswalk. I remembered the first day I met Victor. It had also been on the way home after school. That year, I was in my 3rd year of middle school. After evening self-study, I was stopped on the road by a few thugs from outside the school. One of them had dyed yellow hair. He used to be in the same orphanage as me. He recognized me and threatened me for hush money, saying that otherwise he would spread the fact that I was an adopted daughter around school. At the time, I was studying at an elite school. If those spoiled rich kids found out I was adopted, they would definitely ostracize me. I wanted to live with a little dignity. I didn't want to go back to the days of being bullied, so I could only obediently hand over the money. Seeing that I was easy to bully, he pushed his luck and started getting handsy with me, until Victor, who happened to be passing by, smashed his head open with a basketball. Victor took off his headphones, chewing gum as he said, a bunch of guys ganging up on one girl. Have you no shame? Those thugs all knew Victor, because Victor was the well-known local bully in that area. They didn't dare provoke him, and all ran off at once. Victor walked up to me. Your name is Selena, right? I looked at him in surprise. He gave a carefree grin. Top of the whole grade in every subject. The model student every teacher talks about. I've heard so much about you. I nervously tugged at the hem of my clothes and said nothing, but he suddenly bent down, leaned close to my face, and blew a bubble of gum. My name is Victor. From now on, I'll watch out for you, but on one condition. From now on, you do all my homework for me. The dim yellow streetlight shone behind Victor, setting off that roguish smile of his. I suppose every girl, at that first age of awakening feelings, falls for the rebellious, handsome boy who gets into fights. That was my first hazy flutter of love. Victor also became the only person at school who knew I was adopted. After that night, every day after school he would show up right on time at the door of my classroom, stuff his homework into my arms, and then walk me home. No one ever dared harass me again. Back then, I truly believed Victor was different when it came to me. For example, at basketball games, he would only drink the water I handed him, and would loudly insist that I wipe the sweat from his forehead. When it rained, he would take off his jacket, hold it over our heads, and run with me under it, until Lily appeared, and everything changed completely. Chapter 22. At 4 in the morning, my phone's vibration woke me up. Half asleep, I answered the call. Hello. But Eric's voice was unusually clear. I'm at your front gate. I shot awake. All sleep instantly gone. Barefoot, I ran out of bed, pulled open the curtain, and looked outside. A Maybach was parked at the gate. Eric, dressed in a black trench coat, was leaning against the hood with one hand holding the phone and the other holding a cigarette. Looking up in my direction, his soft laugh came through the phone. Now I know which room is yours. My hand touched the glass. It was ice cold. Why did you suddenly come? The breathing on the other end of the line was light. Because you said you missed me. I looked at him through the window, feeling a little guilty, my fingertips lightly scratching at the glass. The reason I said that was, he cut in before I could finish. Because Victor was there. You said it on purpose for him to hear. Eric's steady voice carried warmth, the kind that gave endless security. But missing you, that part was real. So I flew here overnight, just to see you once. In the deep night at the end of autumn, it felt as though something warm was holding my heart. I knew he was worried about me. Eric did not come to the door. He had an important meeting that afternoon and had to fly back to Hong Kong. Even long after he left, my heart still couldn't calm down. Chapter 23. Lily's interview invitations were famously difficult to get, but because she accepted my interview, my name spread everywhere. After that, many celebrities proactively contacted the station, wanting to book interviews with me. The station promoted me and raised my salary, and while the iron was hot, they even specially created an independent interview program for me. Because my interview style tended to be sharp, it was very popular with netizens. So for half a month straight, my program ranked first in ratings for its time slot, and it broke multiple records. Those people who used to look down on me and laugh that I only got into the station through backdoor connections now all had to call me sis when they saw me. Even my mother was the same. For the first time in my life, she praised me. Selena, you've done very well. In the future, you must also bring honor to the family. Remember that. She had said those same words on the day she adopted me. That year, I was only 6 years old. She arrived at the orphanage dressed magnificently, choosing only girls. I had had enough of the days of being bullied, so I desperately tried to show myself off in front of her, hoping to attract her attention. Later, she really did choose me. That was the first time in my life I rode in a Mercedes. I sat timidly pressed against the edge, afraid of dirtying the seat. She touched my head and asked, "Do you know why I chose you?" I shook my head. Because your eyes are different from theirs. There's resolve in them. She gently held my hand tighter. From today on, your name is Selena. As my family's daughter, you must always remember that in the future. Whatever you do must benefit the family and bring honor to the house. Do you understand? After coming to my adoptive mother's home, every single day I lived as if walking on thin ice. I was terrified that if I did something wrong, I would be sent back to the orphanage. I had to rank first in every subject. I had to do everything better than anyone else. Only then could I gain a tiny bit of recognition from my mother. These years, I have lived very hard. After wearing the mask for so long, I had long since forgotten what resistance even meant. So when I first came to Eric's home with him, I was immediately drawn in by his mother's gentleness. Chapter 24. The dining table was set with all kinds of delicacies. Every dish had been carefully prepared, with excellent color, aroma, and flavor, enough to make anyone's mouth water. It was the first time someone had ever put food into my bowl. Eric's mother kept smiling at me. Selena, it's your first time visiting, and I didn't know what you like to eat, so I just had the kitchen make do. Next time you come, be sure to tell Auntie in advance. Aw, no, That's not right. Tell Mom. As she spoke, she deliberately shot Eric a glare, as if blaming him for not giving any advance notice about something as major as getting married. Eric placed the steak he had cut onto my plate and jokingly said, "She just loves to nag. You'll get used to it in the future." I smiled a little awkwardly and said to her, "The food is all delicious. I really like it." Eric's mother nodded happily. "That's good. Eat more." She even touched my arm and frowned. "Look at these thin little arms. Just how skinny you are. In the future, Mom has to properly build you up." Eric's father sat beside us the whole time, smiling kindly. He didn't talk much, but every time he looked at Eric's mother, his eyes were full of affection and love. Eric's mother occasionally acted spoiled with him in a coquettish way, just like a young girl, just from one meal. It was obvious that although they were already middle-aged, at the age when couples are supposed to find each other annoying, they were still as loving as ever. I suddenly felt a little envious of Eric. The atmosphere in his family was completely different from the wealthy household I had imagined. I liked every person here, and I was very grateful that not a single one of them looked down on me for being an adopted daughter. Chapter 25. After dinner, I went to the terrace on the 3rd floor to get some air. Because I had drunk a little red wine that night, my head felt a bit light, so I thought I would sober up a little here. Eric came over carrying a fruit platter and called me over to eat. I hurriedly waved my hand and rubbed my stomach. "I really can't eat another bite. I'm way too full." "It's all your family kitchen's fault for cooking so well." Eric couldn't hold back his laughter. "If you like it that much, then in the future I'll hire them to come to our home and cook for you specially." I refused. "No, then I'd end up fat as a pig." But the moment the words left my mouth, I regretted them a little. Our home. That wording was a bit too intimate. Eric and I were only in a contractual marriage. Talking about the future felt far too vague. The atmosphere turned a little awkward in a subtle way. I rubbed my nose, my cheeks feeling a little hot. Eric lowered his eyes, a faint smile hanging at the corners of his lips. Right then, my phone rang. It was one of Victor's buddies calling. Eric saw my hesitation, so he found an excuse and left. I didn't answer until he had gone far enough away. On the other end, Victor's buddy said, "Selena, where are you? Can you come to the hospital to see Victor right now?" I asked. "The hospital?" He explained anxiously. "Yes, Victor's old illness has flared up again. He's been in the hospital for a week already, and he's in really bad shape. For the sake of all the years between you two, could you come see him?" Victor had a heart condition. 3 years ago, when he and Lily were breaking up, it had flared up once before. At that time, Lily insisted on following her coach, even though she knew perfectly well that the coach had ulterior motives toward her. But for the sake of success, she was willing. Victor wouldn't allow it. Lily directly threw out the word breakup and left. It was I who stayed with him through that period, taking care of him at his hospital bedside until he recovered. After he was discharged, Victor accepted his family's arrangement and agreed to get engaged to me. We had once been happy for a while. He would think of all kinds of ways to make me happy, and on every holiday he would prepare gifts for me, and I would knit him terribly ugly scarves with my own hands, and bake cookies that didn't taste very good. But the moment Lily came back, he forgot all of it. Just like back when he had first met Lily, because of one sentence from her saying she didn't like me, he immediately became distant and cold toward me. I didn't want to repeat the same mistake. Slightly tilting my head up, I stood in the wind and said into the phone, "There's no real bond left between him and me anymore, so I'm not going." I had given Victor countless chances. He was the one who didn't want them. Chapter 26. The next day, I accompanied Eric to the hilltop villa to visit Grandpa. He had told me before that the doctor said Grandpa's illness was very serious, and that instead of keeping him in the hospital, it would be better to bring him home and fulfill the old man's final wish. But on the way there, I kept feeling that Mr. Goo and Mrs. Goo looked a little strange. Every time I asked about Grandpa's condition, they hesitated, stumbled over their words, and avoided my eyes. Even Eric, who was driving, kept deliberately changing the subject. At first I didn't know what was going on. I kept feeling like I was overthinking it, until I saw in Grandpa's room trash bin a hamburger wrapper, half a cup of unfinished milk tea, and French fry crumbs on the bedsheet. None of it seemed to match the little old man lying in front of me, looking so critically ill. So which part, exactly, had gone wrong? Eric sat by the bed, holding Grandpa's wrinkled hand, and said softly, "Grandpa, I brought Selena to see you." The little old man hummed in response, his brows tightly furrowed as though he were in terrible pain, but his face was clearly rosy and flushed. "Ah, my granddaughter-in-law is here." The little old man's voice trembled as he reached out to me. Eric's mother gave me a push. "Go on. Grandpa is looking for you." Eric brought me to the bedside, placed my hand into Grandpa's hand, and said, "Your granddaughter-in-law is right here." Grandpa's hand was even warmer than mine, almost hot. In a trembling voice, he said many things. He told me to live well with Eric, said Eric was a man worth entrusting myself to, and even said that if he could hold a great-grandchild before he died, then he truly would have no regrets. I almost thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. It seemed like when Grandpa talked about holding a great-grandchild, he pinched Eric's hand. I said a few comforting words to Grandpa and told him to take good care of his health. Eric's parents stood nearby, eyes lowered, keeping straight faces. In the end, Grandpa had Eric's mother bring over the family heirloom jade bracelet and insisted on putting it on me himself. He also said, "This jade bracelet, back when your grandmother was still alive, she had it blessed at a temple. Once you put it on, you mustn't take it off, or you'll bring bad luck on yourself." I nodded and agreed, pretending not to notice. I saw Eric secretly giving Grandpa a thumbs up. So this whole family was full of drama kings and queens. Who could possibly connect this white-haired old man, acting like a mischievous child, with the great tycoon who had once dominated the business world? But I didn't expose Eric, and I couldn't quite say why. Chapter 27. After coming back from Hong Kong, I kept myself busy with work. I did not tell my family about getting the marriage certificate. My mother brought up several times that she wanted to meet Eric's family, but I brushed it off every time. The reasons were nothing more than Eric being busy, Grandpa not being in good health, and things like that. Because Eric's family was different from Victor's family, my mother's attitude was different too. Eric's family was part of the old elite. She was terrified of losing this marriage and no longer being able to pave the way for my younger brother's future. So she endured me in everything. Eric would occasionally accompany me home for meals. He treated my mother with great respect. Every time he visited, he brought expensive gifts to show sincerity and proper manners. But during the meal, between the lines of what he said, he would also indirectly remind her to show me more respect. Chapter 28. Ever since breaking up with Victor, my career had also been going better and better. The director praised my program again and again at staff meetings, saying it was well done, that my interview style was unique, and that I was the station's guarantee of ratings. In only 3 short months, I became the leading female host at the television station. As for Lily, a sex scandal suddenly exploded around her. The exposé included a video of her kissing her coach in a car, as well as photos of her entering and leaving hotels with certain men. The evidence was solid. It seemed to be because she had offended the wife of some powerful big shot, and the woman had stepped in to teach her a lesson. Former teammates also came forward to expose her, saying that back then Lily had slept with the coach in order to snatch away from someone else the opportunity to go abroad for a competition. For a time, the entire tide of online opinion turned against her. Lily's reputation was completely ruined. I heard she had gone to look for Victor, but Victor had been recuperating at home, and his family refused to let her come near him. The career she had always been so proud of was completely finished, and on top of that, Victor refused to see her, so she decided that I was the one who had been stirring things up behind the scenes. She was willing to destroy herself if it meant dragging me down with her. Chapter 29. The station held its 50th anniversary celebration. The banquet hall was ablaze with lights and crowded with people. The director pushed me onto the stage and asked me to share some of my experience in making programs. Unable to refuse such enthusiasm, I could only brace myself and go on stage. The entire venue gradually quieted down as well, and everyone's eyes focused on me. I gripped the microphone, took a deep breath, and said a great many heartfelt words. In the end, I concluded, I believe media interviews can be used to educate and enlighten audiences. Experts or practitioners can share their experience, insights, and knowledge, helping the public better understand specific fields or issues, thereby achieving a win-win outcome. Thunderous applause erupted from below the stage. Just as I was about to bow and leave the stage, Lily suddenly pushed open the doors of the banquet hall and burst in. She pointed at me on stage and shouted, "You, a shameless homewrecker who specializes in stealing other people's boyfriends and taking advantage of their weak moments. What right do you have to stand on that stage and speak? Are you trying to teach the whole world how to be a mistress?" The entire hall fell silent. Some reporters from other media outlets in the same industry immediately took out their phones to record, afraid that the station would lose face. The director immediately told someone to call security, but Lily seemed like she had gone mad. Ignoring everyone's attempts to stop her, she charged straight onto the stage. When she got in front of me, she pointed at my nose and said, "Selena, back when Victor and I were dating, you already liked him. Don't think I didn't know. You deliberately lurked by his side for all those years. And the moment we had an argument, you immediately jumped out to seduce him, coaxing him into breaking up with me and getting engaged to you. But what you didn't expect was that Victor never forgot me all these years. So the moment I came back, he immediately dumped you and got back together with me. You hated me, so you used media resources to maliciously smear me online. You even fabricated facts and doctored images, all just to ruin me so Victor would come back to your side. You're so vicious." Like a madwoman, she grabbed my hand and pointed at the people below the stage as she shouted, "Is someone with conduct this vile and a heart this filthy really worthy of your admiration?" Suddenly, the side door of the banquet hall was pushed open. Victor was wheeled in, sitting in a wheelchair, pushed by a staff member. Everyone instinctively made way for Victor. Victor stopped in the center below the stage and looked at Lily, who was losing her mind on stage, and said, "Lily, have you had enough?" Lily hadn't seen Victor for a very long time. At that moment, when she saw him, it was as if she had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. She immediately ran down from the stage, crouched in front of the wheelchair, grabbed Victor's arm, and cried, "Victor, you finally came. They've all joined forces to bully me. This time, you have to help me." But Victor directly shook her off. Caught completely off guard, Lily fell onto the floor in a heap. "Victor, what's wrong with you? Why are you treating me like this too?" The way Victor looked at her no longer contained the attachment he once had, only disgust. "Lily, I never knew you were this kind of person." He ignored her after that and instead openly told the people present, "It's true that Lily and I once had a relationship, and I loved her very much back then, but when I was gravely ill, she heartlessly dumped me. During that time, I was utterly despairing, and it was Selena who stayed by my side and took care of me all along. Later, after I recovered, we got engaged, but I didn't know how to cherish what I had. When Lily came back to find me, I failed to control myself and ended up breaking Selena's heart. Only after we broke up did I belatedly realize that I had already fallen for her long ago. What I felt for Lily was an obsession from the past, mixed with too much unwillingness to let go. But what I felt for Selena was love that grew over time without me even realizing it. Until after I lost her and regretted it too late. The reason I came here today is to clarify one thing for everyone. Selena is not the third party. It was Lily who knowingly seduced me even though she knew Selena and I were already engaged. From beginning to end, Selena was innocent, and I hope everyone will stop misunderstanding her. Hearing Victor say this, Lily looked at him in disbelief and completely lost her mind as she screamed, "Victor, what kind of spell did Selena cast on you? Have you gone insane? The one you clearly love is me. So why are you speaking up for her?" Security arrived in time, grabbed the kicking and flailing Lily, and forcibly dragged her away, finally bringing this absurd farce to an end. In the end, Victor apologized to everyone. "Because of my personal issues, I have caused trouble for everyone. I'm sorry. I also hope that everyone will stop disturbing Selena over this matter." After saying that, he had someone wheel him away, and I, from beginning to end, stood motionless on the stage, taking in everything, without the slightest surprise, because Victor was someone I had arranged to come, and I had already known that Lily would come to make a scene. Chapter 30. The station's anniversary celebration was by invitation only. Not just anyone could get in. Lily had found a staff member at the station and wanted to buy an invitation from her at a high price. The staff member told me about it. I was the one who told her to sell the invitation to Lily. I had guessed that she would come and make a scene, So I went to Victor's house in advance and looked for him. To be honest, after not seeing him for several months, when I saw him again, Victor had gotten so thin that he seemed like a different person, which truly startled me. He was also very surprised to see me come visit him. From him, I learned that this time his heart condition had flared up much more seriously than last time, and he had almost died on the operating table. He said, "Once you've died once, a lot of things suddenly become clear." He pulled out a talisman from inside his collar and showed it to me. Moved to the core. "You gave this to me when I was in the hospital 3 years ago. This time, I only managed to hold on because of it." I looked at the talisman, and my heart ached. I had once sincerely gone to the temple to pray for that talisman for him, kowtowing once every 3 steps as I climbed several hundred steps, until I had rubbed several blisters onto my knees. Victor's eyes reddened, and he said emotionally, "At the time, I really didn't know. Selena, I didn't know that you had obtained it for me like that. If my grandmother hadn't gone to pray on my behalf and accidentally heard about it, I would still be in the dark now. Selena, I'm sorry. I failed your feelings, even though I had already let go of the past, and let go of Victor. When those things were brought up, it still inevitably hurt." Victor choked up and said, "I apologize to you for everything I did before. Selena, can you forgive me?" I sniffed and steadied my emotions a little. "Victor, some harm can't be made up for with just one simple sorry. I liked you for a full 10 years. I tasted all the joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness that came with it. Even though you and I ended up separating, I never regretted it, because people have to pay the price for their choices. I chose you, and being hurt by you was my own doing. But Lily is different. She came to hurt me because of you. That is not something I should have had to bear. If you truly feel guilty toward me, then please solve this problem yourself and make her disappear completely from my life." So Victor coming tonight was both expected and unexpected. Actually, even if Victor had not stood up tonight to clear my name, I still had a plan B. It had taken so much to endure until today and achieve what I had. There was no way I was going to let Lily ruin me. Chapter 31. At the same time, the Maybach was parked by the roadside outside the television station. Eric sat in the back seat, leisurely drinking tea while flipping through the copy of Andersen's fairy tales in his hands. On the seat beside him lay a bouquet of Juliet roses. He was waiting for Selena to come out so he could give them to her. Just as he was reading with great interest, the driver looked toward the station entrance and said, "Lily got thrown out." Eric glanced out the window and smiled even more pleasantly. "Have someone keep an eye on her. Don't let her appear in front of Miss Selena again," the driver said with a smile. Miss Selena would never guess that it was you who had that staff member pass the message to her. Ever since Eric saw the scandal about Lily, he had had people watching her. After learning that Victor had shut the door on her, he was certain Lily would turn desperate and blame everything on Selena. That staff member had originally only taken money and sold the invitation. It was Eric who offered 3 times the price and had her take the initiative to pass the message to Selena. The driver asked, "But young master, why didn't you just deal with Lily directly? Why go through so much trouble?" Eric closed the book. "Because I understand Selena. She's so strong-willed that she definitely wouldn't want me interfering. He who tied the bell must untie it. The real way to solve Lily lay with Victor." His Selena understood that truth even better than he did. Rather than leaving a bomb by her side that could explode at any moment, it was better to trigger it proactively. Besides, he knew why Selena had done all of this. After tonight, her fame would rise to an even higher level, and she would stand on the moral high ground, gaining both reputation and profit. His Selena was very good at using media and public opinion. She was cleverer than he had imagined, and more skillful too. Chapter 32. After the station anniversary event ended, I came out of the building and saw Eric standing beside the Maybach, holding a bouquet of roses. He walked toward me and, smiling, handed me the flowers. I took the bouquet and lifted it to my nose to smell it. "It smells so good. Thank you. I really like it." People passing by nearby could not help turning back to look. Isn't that Crown Prince Eric, the legendary tycoon of Hong Kong's elite circle? Damn, is he pursuing Selena? Wow, he looks even more handsome in person than on TV. Under everyone's gaze, Eric reached out and drew me into his arm. then personally opened the car door for me. I had someone book a restaurant. Come on, let's go celebrate your success. I smiled and said, okay. Chapter 33. Later, Victor went abroad with his family for treatment. Before leaving, he asked one of his buddies to give me that jade Buddha pendant, saying that it could count as repaying the talisman I had given him, so that each of us would keep something to remember the other by. But I refused to accept it. As for Lily, she seemed to vanish from the face of the earth, without a single piece of news after that, until many years later. I happened to hear someone mention her. It was said that Lily could not accept the gap between her fantasies and reality, and in the end she drove herself insane and was sent to a psychiatric hospital. And then later still, what started as a fake marriage between Eric and me became real. On the day he married me, Grandpa sat below the stage looking radiant and full of life. Touching his nose, Eric let out a low laugh beside my ear. Look at how lucky you are for your husband. Grandpa's illness was practically cured by your good fortune.